inside you have accepted to be silenced. The other thing I wanted to say is that in terms of this amendment, there should be some aspect of vertical integration. We are saying that the UNFCCC recognize the participation of civil society organizations. So that aspect of participation, both from the grassroots level, community level, to government level, to international level, must not be lost. We should retain it as much as possible. In my own proposal, what I would even say, we should even increase the representatives of the civil society, so you can have of either gender. You can have men and women, because the amendments are provided for some youth which you don't object. Then from our position, because women are affected very seriously by climate change in terms of firewood, fetching water, and so forth. So you can also, in fact, instead of deleting our representative, we should be proposing to add one more. Do you agree with me, members? Yes. We add one more so that you can have a bigger voice. Then in the spirit of FROCA, which means locally led actions, climate actions, it means that the locally led institutions, which are community-based organizations, NGOs, must be given a voice, must be given a channel of inputting whatever they do. I want to say that I also object vehemently the deletion of the Cabinet Secretary of Planning, Economic Planning, because climate change is about economy. And I can see mischief here. We are deleting that Cabinet Secretary so that we can justify deleting the civil society. Yes. Are you together? Yes. There's another which was deleted, was private sector. We should not delete the private sector.
The private sector was amended, same as Nancy Cacaus. The nomination process. So the umbrella body.
No, the nomination, yes. Yeah, the umbrella body. But why do you want to remove the umbrella body of the biggest polluters? I mean, what are you doing here? Huh? What we are saying is that the spirit, the original spirit of the Climate Change Act is going to be lost, and we're going to have another animal. Are you together? Yes. When you look at this section, this is what? The one of amending section 8 and 9 to change the name of directorate. We have no problem with that. It can change. Because you're going to work with whoever is there. When it comes to the issue of redefining the functions of the cabinet secretary, let them propose. Then you can say yes or no, because is the government officer in charge of that. You have no problem with that. When you talk about designation authority, I mean, we don't have much objection, but you also should be told how that designation authority collaborates with National Environment Management Authority. Are you going to create a conflict? So I don't want to talk so much, but I want to say that, Mr. Consultant, Mr. Omoro, I think I would like for you to group, we must have leadership. And by leadership is defining what affects us most. And that's what I'm providing now. We on plenary, before you go into group, agree or disagree with the removal of civil society as a nominating authority. I said that in my opening remark that before 2002, we had the Environmental Management Coordination Act of 2015 recognized civil society as appointing authority, and in particular National Council for NGOs. And that space has been taken over time. If you give up this space, my friends, you have given up everything. Are you ready to do that?
No.
No. So can you take us through, I humbly request you to take us through that section before we move the group? Yes. And you also, as a consultant, will give us your opinion. Thank you.
Please come and use this. Use this mic. We have some backup answer.
Thank you, Mr. Mula. Thank you for the presentation also. As part of the civil society and being a petitioner for this case against the Climate Change Council, I stand here because on technical basis, we've looked at the format that the government wants us to report back on an amendment bill, and it's like guiding or restricting us to what should be the feedback. I've actually looked at. I was trying to really go deep into how do civil society discuss their own exit, and then you guide us how to give feedback on how to get ourselves outside. Because I look at the format and the way it has been made and the way the feedback system is going to be, and then I'm asking myself, will there be somewhere, maybe during committee level in Parliament, where we are able maybe to intercept or to stop or such? I mean, such a process, you really need to guide us as on legal matters. Or amend if they don't capture our needs or our what we really want.
And you see why it cannot be a half baby. Yeah? I'm just telling Anne, she sees why it cannot be a half baby. Because we have gone to groups.
Yes.
Let's
see. I think mine is just probably a clarification on this discussion on civil society. My understanding, reading both the amendment and from the presentation, is that in that part, one, a representation of youth have been added, a very good thing, we all agree with. But when it comes to civil society and private sector, it has not been deleted. They've deleted the subsequent words that say nominated by. So the deletion was from that part mentioning nominated by the largest private sector body.
The manner of nomination.
The manner of nomination is what we should be discussing. But civil society, I'm coming. Civil society, a representative from civil society still remains a member of the council. A representative from the private sector still remains the member of the council. What has been deleted is, how are we going to determine that it is my friend who is the civil society representative? And that should be our discussion, not the deletion of those three key things.
Let's do this.
Let me make one final comment.
This sector.
Just Dr. Barua, then Anne, then Abuya, then David. In that order.
I agree with that position, but if we cannot amend a constitution because the government did not engage, the government should look to engage us as civil society, and we are able to present our representative. You know how NGOs are registered. So but civil society by the way does not represent NGOs, even if faith-based organizations are civil members of civil society. What we are saying is that if we lose that mandate to participate in the nomination, we have as well as lost that position. Because anybody can be appointed from anywhere who does not have any connection to networks which are working on the environment. So we are saying, or rather I'm proposing, the removal of our mandate to nominate or to participate in the democratic nomination process is as good as removal of our participation.
I think I totally agree with Dr. Ali. For our case, removal of, the Article 260, which describes clearly who marginalized communities are, then it means you can bring anyone without, indigenous knowledge, and not necessarily a marginalized, someone from the marginalized community. The reason why we have a petition right now is because the lady who's been brought in, who once vied for some governorship in whatever county, meaning this is a political reward now, and we've been denied the right to, to get what is rightfully ours, then it means we are now going to be going by that. Somebody else will be coming to represent whoever is representing, but then under marginalized communities. So yes, we do not have the space remains, but it's like it's not there. If you are not us, and then you cannot represent us. Thank you.
Actually, Mzungu ndiye I think my contribution has been rendered redundant by what they have said. The truth of the matter is that the moment they remove the manner in which the nomination will be effected, then of course they defranchise the civil societies and even the private sector. Yeah, so I think that is a serious lacuna. You will help us as the legal mind, because anybody can come up and say that is the representative of the civil societies without necessarily him or her enjoying the mandate of the civil society. I think that is a very serious lacuna, and somebody playing games is mischievous in that amendment. It should be pointed out as such. Yeah, thanks.
David, then
Sijakuja hapa kugonga watu. I'm just going to make my comment. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring your attention to the Constitution of Kenya, Article 10, which is the national values, and I know Wakili is very much aware of that. It says, the national values and principles of governance in this article bind all state organs, state officers, public officers, and all persons whenever any of them applies or interprets this Constitution, enacts, applies, or interprets any law, or makes or implements public policy decisions. The national values and principles of governance include A, patriotism, national unity, sharing and devolution of power, the rule of law, democracy, and the participation of the people. One of the reasons why we enshrine the participation of the people as a national value is the kind of games that we now are seeing in the government. If you are following the ruling of BBI by the Supreme Court the other day, this was one of the key areas that we were looking at, lack of public participation. Now, when you remove the civil society in an act, if you look at all the acts that operationalize the Constitution of Kenya, there is always a window for public participation. The Environment Act cannot be an exception to this. If you continue down there, it talks about good governance, integrity, transparency, and accountability, and sustainable development. That is under the national values. So this is a constitutional matter. We are not only looking at the Act of Parliament, we are looking at an amendment that is attempting to emasculate the will of the people. That's very key for us.
Allow me just to say three things. One, there's something called constructive ambiguity when you are trying to define or deconstruct a legal document or anything. And sometimes it exists because it helps you in terms of, a good example is the UNFCCC has failed to date to issue an agenda-form definition of climate finance, because they know the moment they define climate finance, you are confined to certain parameters that you have to act upon for you to refer to climate finance or to access funding. Two, I think we might be carried by emotions and miss out the opportune moment that is being offered by these climate amendments that are being proposed by the ministry. And I really beseech you all to be very careful. I know that I've touched a very topic that is really emotional to the CSOs, the private sector, and I'm so happy that I've introduced the young people. And as a youth, I'm not I also want to know how they're going to nominate the most representative young person. Just by mentioning that's not enough. But we have to be very careful not to lose this moment, than to forget who sits there, who has been nominated or what. But how we arrive to the person is very important. The main reason I say the constructive ambiguity is because the previous CSS have avoided this issue because they knew it's a topical issue that can be raised with their mandate or the agenda that they want to implement in the 5 years that have been given by the president. And the current CS Sastra is bringing on this thing, but we have ensured that in our groups we have to guide her accordingly by proposing what brings all the CSOs on board, both who are here present and those who are not here. We're together.